Hare Krishna to
Hare
everybody.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. वेलकम आचार्य विनोद जी। और आप हमेशा की तरह, क्योंकि आप सभी आपके उससे परिचित हैं, तो आप हमारे को ये शुरू करवा दीजिए।
हाँ, तो जैसे पिछली बार मैंने बताया था, जो श्लोक अभी आप स्क्रीन पे देख रहे होंगे, दिस श्लोक इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. This is the Vedic culture. Before we start reciting any prayers or before starting any discourse, we need to offer our respectful obeisances to the parampara, to the Guru parampara. So in this shloka, we are offering some respectful prayers. So please chant after me. Narayanam
Narayanam
Namaskritya
Namaskritya
Naram
Naram
Chaiva
Chaiva
Narottamam
Narottamam
Devim
Devim
Saraswatim
Saraswatim
Vyasam
Vyasam
Tato
Tato
Jayam
Jayam
Udirayet.
Udiraye.
So before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the some part is not visible on the screen, let me check. Which is a very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, that is Sri Krishna, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadev, the author. तो इन सभी को हम प्रणाम समर्पित करते हैं भागवत कथा के विषय में चर्चा करने के पहले. So last time we were discussing about what had happened to Ashwathama. Would anyone like to share, if someone remembers, what did we discuss about Ashwathama? Who is Ashwathama?
अश्वत्थामा गुरु द्रोण के सन, हाँ, पुत्र थे। और इन्होंने द्रौपदी के 5 पुत्रों को सोते समय मार दिया था और फिर भाग गए थे डर के। तो अर्जुन ने उनका पीछा किया था, लेकिन उनका वध नहीं किया। भगवान कृष्ण के कहने पे भी वध नहीं किया और उनको पकड़ के लेके आए। फिर द्रौपदी जी ने भी उन्हें माफ कर दिया। तो फाइनली उनका अपमान करने के हिसाब से, जो कि उनका वध करने के बराबर है, तो अर्जुन ने उनका मणि निकाल लिया, बाल काट दिए और उस शिविर से निकाल दिया।
करेक्ट. तो ये अश्वत्थामा को उन्होंने दंड दिया था. अश्वत्थामा was punished like that, and that also he was punished. He was supposed to be killed, actually, because he had killed Draupadi's sons when they were asleep. He did not kill them on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So it was by cheating, he killed them. Actually, he murdered them. Killing is done on the battlefield when there is proper fight, when there is war. So that is called killing. But he actually murdered them when they were asleep. But because he was the son of a Brahmana, so he could not be given capital punishment, and he had the boon that he would be immortal. So the punishment he got, that the gem which was on his forehead, which was a symbol of knowledge. So he misused his knowledge. He was knowledgeable, but when we misuse the knowledge, then we have to pay the penalty for that. So because of that he was penalized, and the gem was removed from his forehead. And also Brahmanas, they used to keep on shikha. So but in his case, because he was amongst the warriors, so he had a thick hair, so his hair was cut, and little bit of hair was left on his forehead as an insult. It was very insulting for a Kshatriya warrior to be kind of, if somebody would shave their head. like Jayadratha was done. Jayadratha was punished by Bhima and Arjuna in that way. His head was shaven, and 5 shikhas were left on his. So it was very insulting for them. So now coming back to continuation. Thank you, Shakuntalaji, for sharing about what we discussed, to recap our discussion last week. And I would encourage everybody to be more attentive when we are discussing these very sublime topics from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is called Amala Purana. That means there is no contamination in this. Mala means contamination. Hum kehte na mal. That is the waste product. And Amala means without any contamination. So before we proceed, Shakuntalaji, you were sharing with me your experience, what happened yesterday. Can you share with other participants, please?
Yes. मेरे को कल बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल एक्सपीरियंस हुआ इसका. कोई प्रॉब्लम सडनली आ गई और जो काम मैं मेरा रेगुलर कर रही थी उसमें बिल्कुल मन नहीं लग रहा था. तो मालूम था कि आज क्लास है और ये सेशन होने वाला है, तो मैंने भागवत पुराण उठा ली और उसके 2-3 अध्याय जो भी पढ़ने थे वो पढ़ लिए और मेरा मन बिल्कुल डाइवर्ट हो गया. पीस ऑफ माइंड मुझे मिल गई. इन द एंड फाइनली नाइट में 9-9:30 तक जिस प्रॉब्लम की वजह से मैं परेशान थी वो सारी सॉर्ट आउट हो गई. तो ये इसका ट्रू रिजल्ट मुझे मिला कि इमीडिएटली द प्रॉब्लम इज सॉल्व्ड.
Yes.
And peacefully today I'm on my work.
Very good. Thank you for sharing.
And I'm very grateful to you also, आचार्य विनोद जी, कि आपकी वजह से मैंने ये पढ़ना भी शुरू किया और आप थिंकिंग थर्सडे में आते हैं, हम सबको भी पढ़ाते हैं, लेकिन आपकी वजह से पढ़ना शुरू किया और ये रिजल्ट मुझे मिले. थैंक यू.
आपको धन्यवाद वर्षा जी को और तृप्ति जी को करना चाहिए, क्योंकि उनका इनिशिएटिव है, उनका पुरुषार्थ है कि हम अभी एकत्रित होकर ये सब चर्चा कर रहे हैं. So I'm grateful to them also, I'm grateful to you also, all the participants. क्योंकि यदि श्रोता नहीं होंगे तो वक्ता क्या बोलेगा? श्रोता होने चाहिए ना. The audience has to be there, otherwise there is no use of a speaker, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much for participating, all of you. So we will continue this our discussion. So today, if you have read, in the Bhagavatam, first canto, पहले स्कंद में जो एक प्रकार से पृष्ठभूमि रखी गई है, some kind of background is given how this whole Bhagavad Katha started. Shakuntala ji, if you don't mind, can you put the slides which you showed me earlier?
Sure.
About the Parampara system. So first Bhagavatam was spoken to Brahma ji, and he was given Chatur Shloki. केवल 4 श्लोक भगवान विष्णु ने ब्रह्मा जी को सुनाए थे. फिर उसका विस्तार किया था उन्होंने आगे चल के, और नारद जी को वो विस्तार करके बताए थे. तो नारायण से भगवान विष्णु से ब्रह्मा जी ने वो प्राप्त किया ज्ञान भागवतम का, और ब्रह्मा जी से वो मिला नारद जी को. फ्रॉम ब्रह्मा Narad ji heard, and from Narad ji, can you go down? Narad ji spoke to Vyasadeva. This we discussed, when Vyasadeva was sitting in the Badrika ashram, he was looking very depressed, very morose. After compiling the whole Vedic literature, such a knowledgeable person also was looking very morose. So now, in the material world, this is the effect of the material energy. No matter how much knowledgeable the person is, how much knowledge the person has, how knowledgeable the person is, the effect of material nature will always be there. So mode of ignorance can make people feel very depressed, very low, no enthusiasm, very lethargic. Physically and mentally, they feel very lethargic, no motivation. So when that kind of mood was there, Vyasadeva was going through that kind of depression. So when Narada Muni approached, and Narada Muni told him, advised him, encouraged him, and instructed him to write on Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva learned from Narada Muni about the whole science of Bhagavatam, and he compiled that Bhagavatam. And then Vyasadeva gave this whole knowledge to his son, Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami, then he parted that knowledge. He narrated the whole Bhagavatam Katha to Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days left, balance of 7 days left of his life. And at that time, in that gathering, Suta Goswami, who also is a prime disciple of Vyasadeva, though this we discuss about Suta Goswami, his background, though he was from a very low class family, he was not from high class Brahmin family. So this shows our Vedic culture is such it can purify anybody. It is meant for everybody. Many times it is said it is kind of wrong information is spread that previously during the British time, Brahmanas were discriminating. They would not allow people to go to the temple. They would not give this kind of knowledge to low class people. It is nothing like that. If it was the case, Vyasadeva would not have given this knowledge to Suta Goswami, who was from a very low class family. So this all kind of misinformation is given, and many of us are affected by that. So we need to come out from this kind of wrong misconception. So Suta Goswami, though he was from a low class family, he learned this Vedic science from Vyasadeva, and because of his knowledge, a sage like Shaunaka Rishi, biologically and knowledge-wise, he was much higher than Suta Goswami. When Suta Goswami arrived at Nimasharanya, Shaunaka Rishi, who was the head of the 88,000 sages, he got up out of respect towards Suta Goswami, though Suta Goswami was younger to him biologically. But because of his knowledge, Shaunaka Rishi respectfully got up and offered him a nice seat to sit on. And then Suta Goswami did this Katha of Bhagavatam to Shaunaka Rishi and 88,000 sages at Nimasharanya. And then from that day onwards, this knowledge was spread. So this is coming in disciplic succession. It is not someone's mental concoction. It is not a fiction story, It is not mythological story. It's not like fairy tale stories, which are kind of manipulated or speculated by some elderly ladies to make their children to go to bed and fall asleep. It is not like that. This is very sublime knowledge, and we need to take advantage of this. So today's topic, if Shakuntala, you have read after what we discussed last time, in continuation, there is a very beautiful pastime in the Bhagavatam of Mother Kunti. When the Kurukshetra war was over, Maharaj Yudhishthir was appointed as the emperor of the whole universe. Sorry, whole Earth planet, Bharatvarsha. The whole Earth planet was known as Bharatvarsha. Right? Now, the subcontinent of India is known as Bharat. But actually, because Bharat Maharaj was ruling the whole Earth planet, so the whole Earth planet was called as Bharatvarsha. Before Bharat Maharaj, King Prithu, who also was the incarnation of Lord Krishna, King Prithu, he irrigated the whole land, and he brought up on the surface many herbs, very, very potent herbs and plants, fruits, vegetables, the grains, the seeds, which Mother Earth was hiding within her womb. So Maharaj Prithu, he irrigated the land, plowed the land and irrigated the land. And because he did that, and he brought up on the surface all the valuable, potent herbs and all edible items, because of that, the Earth planet was called Prithvi. So it was Prithvi is called after the King Prithu. And Bharatvarsh, the whole Earth planet is called Bharatvarsh. This is after Bharat Maharaj. Once our Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he was giving discourse on the Bhagavatam in Hong Kong temple, ISKCON temple. So he was talking about this particular topic. So he said, in those days, in the ancient times, the kings, the emperors, they were so pious and they were so potent. The citizens would be so much kind of very respectful towards those emperors, and whatever the emperors would say, citizens would just accept willingly. There won't be any objection. So because they were so caring about the citizens' welfare and well-being, the planets were called, the whole Earth planet was named after such emperors like King Prithu and King Bharat. So he was saying that he himself was from America, our Gurudev. He said that he is very sure, he can bet, that if any American would accept at that time, the president of America was Bill Clinton. So he said, I bet, that any American also would support if this kind of proposal is given in the parliament in the US, that America should be named after Bill Clinton. He said, nobody will accept that because Bill Clinton doesn't deserve that. That whole America should be named after him. So in today's world, these politicians, they are not like emperors in the past we had. So coming back to this discussion, so today's topic is about Mother Kunti. And now there are many prominent women in our scriptures. They are worshipped. Mother Kunti is one of them. Even Gandhari also, though she was mother of Kauravas, but Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of Hare Krishna movement, he has given the list of the 10 prominent women in our Vedic culture who are worshipped respectfully. Mother Kunti is one of them. So see, from this we can understand that in our Vedic culture, the women, they were respected so much. Again, I want to emphasize on this point, that somehow the whole Vedic knowledge, the original texts were twisted. They were misinterpreted. The meanings were twisted. And then it was propagated in a way that in our Vedic culture, women were tortured. They were ill-treated. They were treated like slaves. In one of the previous discussions I mentioned, they were not treated like slaves, but they willingly, voluntarily accepted the position of servitorship. So it's a difference between being servitor or servant or slave. So they were not slaves. They were not treated as slaves. Mother Kunti is worshipped. So after the Kurukshetra war was over, Maharaj Yudhishthira was appointed as the emperor of the whole Bharatvarsha. Then Krishna wanted to go back to Dwarika. He said now his mission was completed. So when he was getting ready to leave Hastinapur, Mother Kunti went to him. Now from this we can understand, what is how soft the heart of a devotee is, and what kind of mindset they have, what kind of thinking they have, what kind of consciousness they have. Mother Kunti went to him and told him, oh, Krishna, now you are going back to Dwarika, you are leaving us. When we had material calamities, when we had material miseries, when we had so many material problems, you were with us. Now my son has been appointed as the emperor. So apparently, materially, prosperity is there, in our life. But now you are leaving us. So if you are leaving us, that kind of prosperity we don't want. If we get the prosperity at the expense of your separation, we don't want that prosperity. I pray to you, please bring more and more calamities in our life. Bring more problems. Give us more problems in material life so that we can remember you. How many of us would pray to Krishna like that? How many of us would pray to God like that? Normally we pray, whatever problems we have, please remove those problems, right? Most of us, if not all of us, most of us, we say, please remove the problems. We won't ask Krishna, give us more problems, right? Will anyone pray like that to Krishna to give us more problems?
No, never.
No, right? So see the consciousness of Mother Kunti. She was feeling actually bad. She was feeling a bit depressed that now prosperity is there, but in this kind of prosperous situation, you are going to leave us. So we don't want this. So very beautiful prayers were offered by Mother Kunti. She is kind of, glorifying Lord Krishna from his childhood. What kind of pastimes, what kind of leelas Krishna did from his childhood. How he was born to Mother Devaki in the prison house. Then how he was brought to Gokul by Vasudev. Then what kind of leelas, Bal leelas, the childhood pastimes he performed in Vrindavan. Those kind of things Mother Kunti is telling Krishna about, glorifying Krishna about. Now Krishna also likes to hear about his glorification from devotee, not from anybody else. Here one incident comes in my mind. Most of you must be knowing that how Krishna got married to Rukmini. How did he get married to Rukmini?
रुक्मणी की शादी कहीं और हो रही थी.
Correct.
और सुना था फिर भगवान कृष्ण उनको भगवान कृष्ण से शादी कर ली.
So he kidnapped her.
Sorry?
I think he kidnapped her.
Yes, he abducted her, yes. But why did he do that?
Because he wanted her to get rid of something, I don't know. I think because her parents were forcing her to marry somebody that she was not interested
You're right.
in.
You're right. So she was supposed to, her father and brother, Rukmi, they were forcing her to get married to Shishupal. And Shishupal also was cousin of Krishna. Like Pandavas, they were Krishna's cousin. So Shishupal also was Krishna's cousin. But he was a demon, very demoniac person. Though he was a warrior, Kshatriya, but he was a demoniac. His mentality was like a demon. And Rukmini did not want to get married to him. So Rukmini wrote a letter to Krishna. Krishna did not go on his own to kidnap her. Because Rukmini requested, she sent a letter to Krishna through a Brahmana. She wrote a letter that was, I think one of the first love letters ever written in our ancient times. So Rukmini wrote a letter to Krishna, and she sent that through a Brahmana. Now when Brahmana went there to Krishna in Dwarika, so Brahmana gave the letter to him, and Krishna did not read. Krishna told Brahmana to read. Now Krishna could have read it, right? But as I said, Krishna likes to hear his glorification from a devotee. So he asked Brahmana, please read what Rukmini has written about it. Actually, now a letter going from a young princess to Krishna, so very confidential, right?
Right.
Many confidential things must be written there. But Krishna does not hesitate. He actually asked Brahmana to read that confidential letter which was sent by Rukmini to him, because he wanted to hear from a pure devotee what Rukmini has written. So Krishna always likes to hear from devotees. Prabhupada used to say, whenever we do any Krishna Katha or even Ram Katha, any Vishnu Tattva Katha, so that form of Lord Vishnu, that form of Krishna is always present there. Even Narada Muni also is always present there. Once Prabhupada was giving discourse, so in the audience, not so many people in the hall, not so many people were present. So then his disciples said, Prabhupada, not so many people have come in the hall. So should we continue? Then Prabhupada looked around. Prabhupada said, why you say there are not so many people? You are not able to see them. I can see everybody. Narada Muni is there, Vishwamitra is there, Brahma is there, everybody is there.
Wrong to खड़े हो रहे हैं मेरे. When you means अभी भी हैं.
हाँ?
अभी भी हैं, सुन रहे हैं.
हाँ. Yeah, this is Krishna's mercy on us,
Great.
See, we are not qualified to glorify Krishna. We are not qualified to even hear his glorification. But when we do that, even little bit of sincerity we have, Krishna makes us feel like that. These are the glimpses Krishna is giving us to make us realize that, little bit of time we spend, we get this kind of ecstatic symptoms. If we spend the whole day, all 24 hours, we go to the spiritual world, how much ecstasy would we experience? Even in this material world, इस भौतिक संसार में भी हमें ऐसी अनुभूति होती है. तो कल्पना कीजिए जब हम वो आध्यात्मिक लोक में जाएंगे, कृष्ण लोक में जाएंगे, तभी किस प्रकार की अनुभूति हमें होगी. Right? So Krishna is very, very kind. So thank you very much for sharing. It seems that you are very pure devotee, that Krishna is allowing you to experience that. Right? So whenever we do this kind of katha, so people are present. Correct? So Krishna likes to hear from his devotees, pure devotees. And he enjoys hearing that. Here, a very interesting point I want to share with you. I want to ask you first, why didn't Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita in Vrindavan? In Vrindavan, Krishna's pure devotees, right? Everybody's Krishna's pure devotee in Vrindavan. So why didn't he speak Bhagavad Gita in Vrindavan? Why he left Vrindavan, he went to Mathura first, and he constructed Dwarika, and then he went to Hastinapur, then to Kurukshetra, and he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Later on, he spoke Gita to Uddhav also, but much, much later, which is known as Uddhav Gita. In the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, that whole section of Uddhav Gita is there. But initially, Krishna did not speak Gita to any of his devotees in Vrindavan. And normally, the devotees in Vrindavan, just spiritually, I'm just saying, there is no comparison amongst the devotees. But when we go into the details of Krishna's pastimes and his devotees, the devotees in Vrindavan, they are the topmost. They are much, much higher than Arjuna. But still, Krishna did not speak Bhagavad Gita to any of his devotees in Vrindavan. He spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna out of Vrindavan. So why so?
तो किसी ने कहा ही नहीं होगा, हमें सुना. Maybe the Lord, only Arjun must have asked.
One thing is that one very practical reason that the situation was like that, right? But jokingly it is said in a humorous way, because in Vrindavan nobody believed that Krishna is God. उन्होंने भगवान को कभी भगवान माना ही नहीं था, कृष्ण को कभी भगवान माना ही नहीं था. तो कृष्ण को साधारण व्यक्ति समझते थे ना. जब भी any time when Krishna would be saved from any calamity or something, they would think that Lord Vishnu is protecting him or devatas are protecting him. Nanda Baba and Yashoda, they never accepted Krishna as God, as the supreme personality of Godhead. तो जो लोग उनको भगवान मानते ही नहीं थे, अभी उनके सामने यदि भगवान कृष्ण खड़ा होकर बोले कि आप सभी धर्मों का त्याग कर दो, आप मेरे चरण में आ जाओ, मैं भगवान, कोई नहीं सुनता था उसको. बोलता था ये पागल हो गया क्या? हाँ, तो कोई उसको मानता ही नहीं था. तो जब भी कोई उसको मानता ही नहीं भगवान, तो भगवान ऐसे कहते, वो अर्जुन को बोला उसने, अर्जुन को कहा उसने, आई एम द सुप्रीम पर्सन, यू सरेंडर अनटू मी, यू गिव अप ऑल द रिलीजियस प्रिंसिपल्स, सर्वधर्म परित्यज्य माम एकम शरणं व्रज, मेरी शरण में आ जाओ और मैं तुम्हें सभी पापों से मुक्त कर दूं. अभी ब्रिजवास वृंदावन में किसको कहेंगे मैं आपको सब पापों से मुक्त कर दूंगा? वहां पे तो कोई पापी है ही नहीं. हाँ, वृंदावन वालों को वो भी पता नहीं पाप क्या होता है. तो ऐसे लोगों को कैसे कहेंगे मैं आपको पाप से मुक्त कर दूंगा? जो पापी होते हैं उन्हीं को पाप से मुक्ति चाहिए ना. तो वृंदावन में तो कोई पापी है ही नहीं. तो इसलिए भगवान ने भगवत गीता वृंदावन में किसी को नहीं बताई. So now coming back to this part, so Krishna likes to hear about his glorification, about his activities from devotees. So now Mother Kunti is telling all these things. So narrating all the pastimes, what Krishna did from childhood, and then how he protected Mother Kunti's sons, Pandavas. So Mother Kunti was feeling very, very low, emotionally feeling very low, very disappointed that Krishna was leaving him. So Krishna stayed back for some time. He agreed to stay back in Hastinapur. At that time, Uttara. Who is Uttara?
Abhimanyu's wife.
Abhimanyu's wife. Yes. Abhimanyu's wife was pregnant at that time. She came and fell at Krishna's lotus feet, asking for protection. So last time we discussed about Ashwatthama had released Brahmastra, right? So to counter that Brahmastra, to answer that Brahmastra, to face the Brahmastra, Arjuna also had released Brahmastra. So at that time, Brahma and Vyasadeva, they intervened and they said, if the weapon of the creator is used, the whole creation will be destroyed. That was the topmost astra. In the archery, Brahmastra is the topmost weapon. So Arjuna, being a devotee, he called back Brahmastra. But Ashwatthama did not know how to call it back. So he changed the direction of the Brahmastra towards the womb of Uttara. And who was in the womb of Uttara? Abhimanyu's wife?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Maharaj Parikshit. Yes, Jagati Mataji. Maharaj Parikshit was there in the womb of Uttara. So Krishna, who had taken a vow that he will protect his devotees in all situations. So he uses Sudarshan disc to protect, which worked as a shield, which protected Parishit Maharaj from the weapon of Ashwatthama. Somewhere in Puranic Katha, it is mentioned that Krishna entered the womb of Uttara at that time in a very small form,
Yes,
and he presented himself in front of the weapon, Brahmastra. And Brahmastra, when he came in front of Krishna, Krishna's potency was so strong, the effect of Brahmastra was completely nullified, completely gone. So Parikshit was saved. It is said that Parikshit Maharaj, in that form, he saw Krishna in Chaturbhuj. You can see on the screen. So he saw Krishna in Chaturbhuj form, in his Vishnu form. And when he was born, he was looking around. Where is that person who had given him darshan when he was in the womb of his mother? Now, actually, it is said in the scriptures, in the Shastras, that human beings, they're in the womb of their mothers, they see Paramatma. They see Vishnu form and they pray to him. Please take me out from this hellish situation. And I promise to you, once I'm out from this, I will glorify you. I will chant your name day and night. But as soon as we are born, we forget that promise what we make when we are in the garbha, when we are in the womb of our mother. We've forgotten that. So Parikshit Maharaj remembered that. And Parikshit Maharaj, what is the meaning of Parikshit?
The one who was protected in the womb of his Uttara.
Yes, yeah, one of the meaning, but actual, if you see the term Parikshit, what is the meaning of Pariksha?
It means one who examines.
Who is examined already, who is tested, whose quality is tested, you know. In quality control, when they put the chop on the product, when the quality control is done, certificate is there, it's tested, right? They have to put the tested. So Parikshit Maharaj, he is tested as a devotee, no doubt about it. Tested by Krishna himself. That's why his name is given Parikshit. So from birth, when he was in the womb of his mother, he was already a devotee, tested, examined. So that was his quality, basic quality, Krishna's devotee. Now there is no other quality required. If person is this basic quality of a devotee, then there is no other quality required. Other qualities become meaningless. If somebody has this quality of a devotee, other qualities become meaningless. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he was born, he was looking around that where is that person? Who had that beautiful form, wearing peacock feather on his crown, having Shank, Chakra, Gada, Padma in his hand, wearing Vajant Mala, Kastuba jewel on his chest. So he was looking around and he could not find at that time that person. So coming back to this. So Uttara came for protection and Krishna protected Parikshit. Now here he protected Parikshit, and it is said that Krishna has promised in Bhagavad Gita that his devotees always will be protected by him. Right? His devotees will never perish. Now, if that is a promise Krishna has given, why did he allow Abhimanyu to be killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Abhimanyu, the father of Parikshit. Krishna protected Abhimanyu's son, but he did not protect Abhimanyu. So does it mean that, Krishna broke his promise? What he promised to Arjuna when he spoke Bhagavad Gita to him? That he will always protect his devotees? So do we think that Krishna is a liar? In a way, he is, right? But on a serious note, do we think that Krishna is a liar?
No.
Why didn't he protect Parikshit's father on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Abhimanyu? Why did he allow him to be killed?
Don't-
Anyone would like to share?
No idea.
I think we discussed about this some time ago. In Mahabharata, there are three personalities who are immortal.
Yeah, that we discussed.
Right.
Yeah.
Ashwatthama is one of them.
Ashwatthama.
Kripacharya.
Okay.
Right. Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Krituvarma. Krituvarma actually was the commander-in-chief of Yadu army, Narayani Sena. But Narayani Sena was on Duryodhana's side.
Yes.
Because that was the arrangement made, right? Krishna said on one side, he will be there, and on the other side, is Narayani Sena. So Arjuna chose Krishna, unarmed Krishna, as a devotee, and then Duryodhana got to Narayani Sena. So Kritavarma was commander-in-chief of Narayani Sena. And he was one of the martial art gurus of Abhimanyu. So these three personalities, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma, they are immortal. Ajaramare. How many of us remember their name? How many of us we know that these are the immortal people?
Ashwatthama to yaad hai, but others.
Ashwatthama, yeah, in many
I
places,
forget.
right? But Kritavarma और कृपाचार्य के विषय में बहुत कम लोगों को जानकारी है. Very few people know about them, right?
Yes.
But when we talk about Abhimanyu, even small children also would know about him. Abhimanyu नाम भी दिया जाता है बालकों को, right? Many children, they are given that name of Abhimanyu,
Yes.
right? But Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, or Kritavarma, these kind of names we don't see in the human society.
No. No.
So from this we can understand Abhimanyu is Ajarama. Abhimanyu's name is immortal, right? Though his body perished, लेकिन उनकी कीर्ति तो अभी भी है,
True.
right? He's glorified. अभिमन्यु चक्रव्यूह में फंस गया था, बहुत लोगों को पता है, करेक्ट? अश्वत्थामा ने ये ब्रह्मास्त्र चलाया, बहुत लोगों को नहीं पता है, करेक्ट? So about the activities of Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma, hardly anybody knows. But about Abhimanyu, so many people know. So what Krishna said, that his devotees will be protected by him, that Krishna will protect the devotee's name, fame, and reputation, not only the physical body. Because Krishna already talked to Arjuna that don't focus so much on the physical body. Physical body's nature is like that. It will grow, it will dwindle, and it will perish. So जिसका विनाश होना है उसके बारे में आप चिंता क्यों करते हो? But that doesn't mean that we should not take care of the physical body, because it's a vehicle given by the mother nature, Krishna's energy, to this our soul, to the living person. So we need to take care of it. When we have a car, we maintain the car, right? So that the car can be used as a vehicle, as a mode of transport. We don't say, oh, it's a jada padarth hai, it's a material thing, we should not take care of it, right? So maintenance is done periodically. It is taken to the garage to maintain it, to clean it and all that. So if a material vehicle, car, is taken care of so much, why can't we take, or why shouldn't we take the proper care of for this body, which is a vehicle given for the spirit soul? So when Krishna says, should not worry about it, that doesn't mean that we should become careless. We can be carefree, but not careless. We have to be very careful, mindful how to take care of the body, because this is the vehicle which is going to help us to do spiritual activities, devotional service. So Krishna protected. Yes, sorry.
I want to ask something. So from that point of view, actually all of us are immortal only. What makes their immortality different? He left the body, even then he survived in a way because he's immortal. But we will also, it applies on us also.
Of course, it is applicable to everybody. So what is your question? What difference you are talking about?
So
immortal?
why we only count those 4, 5, 7 people that only they are immortal?
No, these 3 people which we talked about in Mahabharata, they had got the boon. उनको वरदान मिला हुआ था कि वो अजर अमर रहेंगे.
But he left
Yes.
the body, no? Abhimanyu left the body.
Abhimanyu left the body, yes.
Even then he didn't die because he was immortal.
See, the death happens to the physical body. The soul never dies.
But that applies to us also then.
No,
Of
but
course,
we
yes.
take rebirth. No, we take rebirth. He will not be able to take rebirth. That's what my understanding is. हमें उसे मोक्ष नहीं मिला है ऐसे.
उसको मोक्ष मिल गया है. अभिमन्यु को मोक्ष मिला है. Now you say that he is not
she's
able to
talking
take.
about Kritvarma and Ashwathama and all. उनमें और हमने फर्क क्या है?
Right.
They are immortal. They are living in their body which they got at the time of birth.
Correct.
So they are still living in the same body.
Same body, exactly. That's what I said. We take rebirth. हमारी शरीर बार बार बदला हुआ है, पर उनका नहीं.
जो the word which we talk about, they're Ajar Amar. Ajar means what? Amar means who doesn't die, and Ajar means the body also doesn't perish.
Correct. Yeah.
जड़ता, शरीर में जड़ता आती है ना, तो body starts deteriorating. But with regard to Kripacharya, Kritvarma and Ashwatthama, their body also doesn't perish. That is called ajarta. उसमें जड़ता नहीं आती है.
Okay.
जैसे पेड़ होता है, पेड़ के पत्ते शरद ऋतु में झड़ते हैं, right? So that is called झड़ना. So when we say ajar means वो झड़ते नहीं है, उनकी शारीरिक शक्ति भी क्षीण नहीं होती है.
Aging नहीं होती.
They don't feel tired, they don't feel depleted. But with regard to Ashwathama, because he committed an offense towards a devotee, so he was punished. तो उनके यहाँ पे जो कपाल है, कपाल का भाग है, forehead part, there is a big wound, and that is causing so much pain for him because he committed an offense towards a devotee. Krishna can tolerate if anyone commits offense towards him, but Krishna cannot tolerate if someone commits offense towards his devotee.
Okay.
So because of that, Ashwatthama was punished in that way. So when we talk about their Ajarama, from the perspective of the immortality of the soul, actually it is not right thing to say to use the word immortal for the soul. Soul is eternal. We can say eternal, but not immortal. Immortal means, the opposite is mortal, but soul is not mortal. So we cannot say the word immortal also for the soul. It is eternal. तो आत्मा के लिए हम अजर अमर नहीं कह सकते हैं. आत्मा नित्य है, इटर्निटी है. जो अजरता और अमरता उसके लिए कहते हैं जिसमें जड़ता मृत्यु आ सकती है, right? These are the opposite words. But we cannot use immortality or deterioration for the spirit soul, because those adjectives are not applicable to the soul. Soul is eternal. That's the right word. Instead of you saying the soul is immortal, we have to say soul is eternal.
Okay.
It cannot be killed. It cannot be died. It cannot die. It cannot perish. So from that perspective, what you asked, the point you raised, you're right, that there is no difference between them and us. With regard to the soul, the quality of soul is, it is eternal. But these three persons, Ashwatthama, Kritvarma, and Kripacharya, they are immortal, and they are living in the same body.
Okay.
So they will live up to the end of Kali Yuga in that same body.
And even Hanumanji, no?
Hanumanji also, yes. Even Hanumanji also.
So it's a blessing. Being immortal is a blessing.
Yes, it's a blessing. Provided body and the mind, consciousness is used in the right way. Otherwise, long life also can become a curse.
Right, because it didn't work likewise for Ashwathama. No? It
Yes.
became a curse for him.
Correct. Initially, it was a blessing for him. It was a boon. But because he misused his knowledge, now it has become like a curse for him. He cannot die. Even if he wants to die, because of the pain, he must be suffering, he cannot die. So we need to be very mindful, what kind of activities we do. If we have long life, then long life also should not become like a curse for us. It became a curse for Dhritarashtra also. He also had a long life. Correct? So now coming back to this discussion. So Krishna saved Parikshit Maharaj, and I was saying that he did not save Abhimanyu. Yes, Abhimanyu's physical body left. Abhimanyu left the physical body on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but his name and fame is still sung. He's glorified because of his bravery, his heroic deed is still glorified. So Krishna talked about that when he told Arjuna that my devotees will not perish. So he talked about his devotees' name, fame, कीर्ति कहते हैं ना, उनकी व्याख्या, उनकी कीर्ति वो अजर अमर रहेगी. भले वो जो भक्त है, the devotee leaves the planet, but he will be glorified like Srila Prabhupada. He left so many years ago, but still in all the temples of ISKCON, we do Guru Puja in the morning after Shringar Arati, and Prabhupada is glorified. And today also we are able to do this discussion. I'm able to speak to you because of his blessings. Because I read what Prabhupada has explained, I'm just sharing with you. The knowledge is coming from him. I'm a media just who is sharing with you. It is not my production, it's not my innovation or invention. I'm just repeating what I've read. Right? So coming back to this discussion, so Mother Kunti offered very nice prayer. If we go shloka by shloka, all the prayers what Mother Kunti, very beautiful prayers Mother Kunti offered, then it will take very long time. But it is my humble request to all of you, like Shakuntala ji did. She told me very nice thing that she did the homework in advance. Because I informed her, that these are the topics we are going to discuss. So she already read these things. So please keep on reading. Even one shloka if you read per day from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, that also is enough. Enough in the sense because of the responsibilities you must be having, so many things you must have been engaged in. So I'm not asking you to just neglect your material responsibilities, whatever role you need to play as a mother, daughter, wife, whatever it may be. Those responsibilities I'm not asking you to neglect. Krishna never asks us to neglect our material responsibilities. If we are in the material world, we have to fulfill those responsibilities. If we don't do that, then Krishna will get the bad name. That Krishna ke bhakta useless hai. We don't have to do anything which will bring bad name for Krishna. Krishna should not be criticized because of our shortcomings. हमें एक उदाहरण बनना है कि भक्त कृष्ण के भक्त ऐसे होने चाहिए. We should not become neglectful of our material responsibilities. On the contrary, we should fulfill our responsibilities more carefully. So that, then other people also will get example that it is better to become Krishna's devotees. It is not, if someone wants to become Krishna's devotee, the person is to renounce the world. No, we don't have to renounce the world. We have to live in this world. जग ये कहते हैं कि संन्यास का अर्थ ये नहीं होता कि संसार से भागना है. संसार का अर्थ होता है संसार में रह के जागना है, भागना नहीं है. हमारा जो दायित्व है, our responsibilities we have to fulfill those. We should not run away from them. So yes, coming back to this, if we talk about these shlokas, very beautiful prayers Mother Kunti offered, shloka by shloka, it will take very long time. But it is my humble request, please read those. Read again and again. When you keep on reading again and again, you'll get more and more deeper meanings. Krishna will reveal deeper meanings to you. Because when we start reading, it has purifying effect on our consciousness. So when the consciousness is purified, we become more qualified to learn the deeper meanings of what Krishna is saying from Krishna's pastimes. Many times you might have heard, many times you might have personally experienced. When you read Bhagavad Gita, same shloka, again and again, after some time, different meaning will be revealed to you of the same shloka. So deeper meaning will be revealed. Krishna will reveal the deeper meaning because Krishna is one of the gurus, Cheta Guru, sitting in our heart. So when Krishna sees that we are qualified, our heart is becoming more purified, consciousness is becoming more purified, then Krishna will start revealing more and more deeper meanings of the scriptures, of the sublime knowledge. So after these things happened, Krishna saved Parikshit Maharaj. And then once Krishna was sitting in his room, in his chamber, in a very meditative pose. Padmasan mein baithe the. He was sitting in a lotus pose and his eyes closed, he was meditating. So Maharaj Yudhishthir went there and Maharaj Yudhishthir was surprised. He was puzzled. He said that actually great yogis, they sit in the lotus pose and meditate on Krishna, who is a Param Yogi, Yogeshwara. Now, who is that person on whom Krishna is meditating? So Maharaj Yudhishthir was very curious. So he waited patiently. He wanted Krishna to open his eyes. He did not go and disturb Krishna. So when Krishna opened his lotus eyes, very beautiful smile on Krishna's face at that time. You know, when we have a good session of meditation, how peaceful we feel. When we read any scripture and we understand the scripture properly, it has very pacifying effect on our heart and our consciousness. So we feel very blissful, very peaceful, very calm. So Krishna was looking like that, you know, his lotus face, a very smiling lotus face. So Maharaj Yudhishthira asked Krishna, ask for his permission first. May I ask you a question? I have some kind of question to ask from you. Krishna said, yes, please go ahead. Then Maharaj Yudhishthira said that you are Yogeshwara. Great yogis meditate on your lotus feet and they feel trance, you know, they become transcendental by focusing on your lotus feet. And now who is that person on who you were meditating? That person must be superior to you. So Krishna smiled. Krishna said that I have a unique relationship with my devotees. My devotees, they meditate on me and I meditate on my devotees.
Wonderful.
So then Maharaj Yudhishthira asked him that who is that very fortunate devotee on who you were meditating today? And then Krishna said it's Bhishma Dev. Because he is meditating, he is lying down on the bed of arrows. He is thinking about me, so it is my responsibility to think about him. This is the way Krishna reciprocates. You know, many times what happens because of our anarthas, you know, we may be doing chanting, we may be reading from the scriptures and all that, but still, because again, I want to emphasize on this point, this is the material world. The effect of the material world cannot be avoided. We will get the miserable situations. We have to face the miseries in the world. We cannot avoid them because of our previous karma. We cannot run away from the consequences of the previous karma. Right? But still, because of our anarthas, we complain to Krishna, oh Krishna, you know, you are not caring about us. What kind of Dina Bandhu you are? What kind of protector you are? You're not protecting us. Krishna is taking care of us day and night. Each moment he's taking care of us. You know, when we go to bed at night, we may not be sure that whether we can get up in the morning or not, alive. So who is taking care of us when we are asleep?
Lord only.
It's him, right?
Yes.
So he's taking care of us. Only the thing is that we don't have that purified vision to understand that, to see that. So the problem is with our vision, not with Krishna's mercy. Problem is with our understanding, not with Krishna's mercy, not with Krishna's compassion. So Krishna said, because he's thinking about me, because he's feeling so much of pain, so many arrows were shot on his body. Right? It is said that Arjuna shot so many arrows on Bhishma Dev's body that even 1 millimeter space was not there on his body. Only arrows could be seen. His head was safe because Arjuna could not shoot arrows on his head, but rest of his body was completely covered by Arjuna's arrows. So how much pain he must be suffering? So Bhishma Dev, because of the pain, he was remembering Krishna. He was not praying to Krishna to relieve his pain. But just by remembering Krishna, he was feeling peaceful. Krishna's memory was working like a balm on the wounds that Arjuna had given to Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev was not selfish that by remembering Krishna because he was feeling less pain, that's why he was remembering Krishna. No, we do that. We pray to Krishna because by praying to him, we feel a little bit relieved. We chant Krishna's name not to please Krishna, but to feel peaceful. Chanting of Krishna's name brings peaceful to our mind. So that is selfish motive. We chant his name also because it helps us. We are not chanting his name because we want to glorify him. See the difference? The reason why we chant his name and the reason behind when Bhishma Dev was remembering him. So because Bhishma Dev was remembering him sincerely, Krishna also was remembering him. Then Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthir that now is the time, because very soon Bhishma will leave this world. And if he leaves the world, he has so much of knowledge that knowledge also will go with him. So before he leaves the body, please you go to him and get that knowledge from him. He will share that knowledge with you. So Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthir like that. So when Krishna was talking to Maharaj Yudhishthir, another reason why Maharaj Yudhishthir approached Krishna at that time, because Maharaj Yudhishthir was feeling very guilty. He was feeling himself to be responsible for the killing of so many warriors, for making so many women widows. Maharaj Yudhishthir was blaming himself. So Krishna pacified him. Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthir, you should not blame yourself. This was supposed to happen. You did not have any control over it. You did not ask for the war. It was Duryodhana who was adamant. So you should not take responsibility of the act which was done by Duryodhana. To be humble is good, but humility does not mean that we should unnecessarily blame ourselves for other person's mistake. That is not called humility, that is stupidity. Right? So Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthir, and then Krishna approached Vyasadeva. And he told Vyasadeva to show Maharaj Yudhishthir all the people, all the warriors who left their body, who were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what happened to them. So Vyasadeva showed all those warriors who left, how they were enjoying in the heavenly planets. So when Maharaj Yudhishthir saw that they got higher position because they got killed on the battlefield while fighting the war, so then Maharaj Yudhishthir was pacified. And then when Krishna advised Maharaj Yudhishthir to go to Bhishma Dev and get some knowledge from him about Raja Dharma, Manav Dharma, everything. So now here, I want to ask a question, if anyone can reply, then guess. Krishna is the epitome of knowledge. The knowledge he gave to Arjuna, there is no comparison to that. There is no Shastra which can be equal to or better than Bhagavad Gita. No Shastra. Essence of knowledge, essence of Vedas, Krishna shared with Arjuna. So Krishna is epitome of knowledge, right? But still, he did not give that knowledge to Maharaj Yudhishthir. He asked Maharaj Yudhishthir to go to Bhishma Dev to get the knowledge, to hear from him. Why did he do that?
No idea.
Any guess? Nobody?
To glorify Bhishma Dev.
Sorry?
To glorify Bhishma Dev and elevate his position, to glorify his pure devotee.
To glorify his pure devotee. Because Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to be glorified for giving that knowledge to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Same thing had happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. When Arjuna did not want to fight, when he saw all his relatives, his gurus, his grandfather, his uncles on the battlefield, all his family members. So Arjuna did not want to fight. Then Krishna showed him, and in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna showed him the gigantic form, the Virat Swarup, in that he showed all these kings were already killed by Krishna himself. So Krishna told Arjuna, I've already killed them. Now for the name's sake, you fight with them and kill them so that you will be glorified. So Krishna wanted Arjuna to be glorified as the best archer, as a proper warrior, a Kshatriya. But Krishna had already killed them. So Krishna always does that. To glorify, Krishna feels happier, more satisfied when he sees that his devotees are more glorified than himself. This is Krishna. So he always does that. So because Krishna, yes, Shri Radhika, you're right. Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to be glorified by giving that knowledge to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Now here is then one incident which is Puranic. In some versions of Mahabharata also it is mentioned. So all the Pandavas, all the sages, including Narada Muni, Atri Muni, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, even Parshuram also, everybody was there. Everybody was very interestingly, very attentively listening to the conversation between Maharaj Yudhishthira and Bhishma Dev. There was conversation going on. Maharaj Yudhishthira was asking questions and Bhishma Dev was replying to his questions. So the conversation was very interesting. So one of the incidents, some of you may know about it, Draupadi also was there. So when Draupadi heard the conversation, at one instance, at one moment, when Bhishma Dev looked at Draupadi, he saw that she was smiling very sarcastically. So Bhishma Dev asked her, why are you smiling so sarcastically? So Draupadi just very asked for forgiveness. She said it was not her intention to offend Bhishma Dev, but she was curious. She was curious that she wanted to know from Bhishma Dev that you have so much knowledge. Even the epitome of knowledge, Lord Krishna also is keen to hear you. What happened to you? What happened to this knowledge in the court of Maharaj Dhritarashtra? When Dushasan was trying to disrobe me and I asked for help, I came to you also to ask for help. You did not help me. What happened to you at that time? Why didn't you speak? Why didn't you object? Why didn't you chastise Dhritarashtra, who was like your son? Why did you chastise Duryodhana, who was your grandson? Why did you allow this to happen to me? I was insulted, humiliated in front of so many warriors. Does anyone know what Bhishma Dev replied? What did he say?
No,
Because
He was loyal to the throne because he had eaten, like he says, I'm loyal to the throne of.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jagrati Mataji. Because he was getting the remuneration from the treasure of the king, Dhritarashtra. So he was obliged. From this we can understand the potency, the strength of the grains we eat. This is the reason in the ancient times you might have heard many instances, many historical incidents that the sages, the brahmanas, they would not go to any Tom, Dick and Harry's house and eat there. Because with what kind of consciousness people cook food and how they have earned that money through which they buy the food, we don't know. So that food contains the karma of the person. And that karma has the effect on our consciousness. So sometimes, no matter how much knowledge we have, if that knowledge is covered by the influence of the food grains, if it is not properly earned, it is sinful, then our consciousness also is affected, our knowledge is covered. Then many sinful activities, many offenses are committed by knowledgeable people also many times. And that's the effect of the grains, the namak, we say, no, namak, the salt he had eaten. So Bhishma Dev said, because he was eating the grains provided by Dhritarashtra, so he was obliged. He was interpreted to him. And it was the effect of Dhritarashtra, that grain. Bhishma Dev was consuming. So then Draupadi asked another question. So how come that knowledge has come up on the surface now? You are sharing this knowledge with all of us now. You still, I know that effect of the grain, the salt is there, right? So what was the answer Bhishma Dev gave to her? What did he reply?
May I?
Yes.
Yeah. He said, because the blood has left from my body already, that was contaminated and received, that grain was affecting that blood has already left the body. That is why I can speak now.
Yes. Yes. Bhishma Dev gave very wonderful answer. Thank you, Yogizarada Mataji, for sharing. Bhishma Dev told Draupadi, see, now from this conversation we can understand that society was not so conservative at that time. Draupadi was Bhishma Dev's grandson's wife, granddaughter-in-law. There was free conversation between both of them in front of so many sages, in front of so many highly elevated personalities, right? So society was not so conservative. It was not that women were so suppressed they could not open their mouth in front of the elders in the family. It is not like that. From these instances, we can understand how refined our Vedic culture was. Women had freedom. Draupadi is asking these kind of questions in front of the sages from her grandfather-in-law, right? So then, Bhishma Dev told Draupadi like that. You know, your husband Arjuna shot me so many arrows, and all the blood, that salt has gone. Everything is gone. I'm holding my breath, my prana, because of my vow of brahmacharya. That has given me strength to hold on to my prana. Otherwise, I would have left the prana also. My father's blessing, my father's boon is helping me to hold on to this body. I'm waiting for the sun to come to the northern hemisphere. When the day of the Devata start, then I will leave. So Arjuna has shot so many arrows that I paid back my debt to Dhritarashtra. I'm not indebted to them anymore. I'm not obliged to them anymore. And that's why the knowledge has come up on the surface. This is the reason we say when we do the devotional service, our consciousness gets purified. Then the hidden knowledge, what we may have in our heart, due to our previous lives, good karma and good devotional service and all that, that starts coming up on the surface. Many times you might have seen that, I have seen practically in my life here in Hong Kong, that people initially, they look that they are not so much interested in the devotional life. But when they do a little bit of service, their consciousness is purified. They advance. Many times they advance faster than many advanced devotees. That's the effect of purification done by the devotional service. So even minutest devotional service we do, we should not take it for granted. It has impact. It has purifying effect on our consciousness. And Krishna will start revealing in our heart. So Bhishma Dev said like that. So we need to be careful. Now from this we need to learn also that where we eat, in whose house we eat, we get the food. Even in the ancient times, people would not drink water also from any unknown person's house. According to that, sometimes in the common language we use when sarcastically we want to speak something to someone. There is a common slang, common saying that पानी पीने के बाद में धर्म क्यों पूछते हो, right? So that means if we ask somebody something and it is not appropriate, then we say you've already done that. You are already associating with the person. Now why are you asking all these details? You should have asked these questions before getting serious into that relationship or something like that. So in the slang we say, that पानी पीने के बाद धर्म क्यों पूछते हो, पानी तो पी लिया आपने, उनके हाथों से छुआ हुआ पानी. So these things are not meaningless. These things are not superstitious. These things are not like, kind of discrimination in the society. We are discriminating unnecessarily. Nothing was unnecessary in the Vedic culture. Everything had scientific reason. since we are talking about it, Yogendra, you want to share something? So since we are talking in this regard, many times people, they complain in the Vedic culture, the Hindus, the priests, they would not allow the Shudras to go into the temple. Or if they would touch any Shudra, they would go and take bath. So this kind of inequality was there in the society, in the Vedic culture. It is not true, because we don't know the actual reason behind it. Even some priests, if they would touch any woman, after that they would go and take bath. So so-called intellectuals, they would say so much of discrimination is there in the Indian society, in the Indian Vedic culture. It is not inequality or discrimination. We need to understand the reason behind it. Now, it is said that later on, in the Bhagavatam, that part will come, but just I'm touching it very briefly. When a woman is menstruating, her energy level is very low, negative energy. So priest who is supposed to go and serve the deities on the altar, he has to be pure. And by chance, suppose he touches a woman, and he thinks that, that woman may not be, he will not, it is not proper for a priest to ask a woman, are you clean or are you menstruating? I touched you, or I touched your clothes. It is not proper. So to be on the safe side, they would just go and take bath if they would touch a woman. It is not that, they were kind of against women or something like that. No. Particularly before going to the altar, they have to be pure. So because of that, they would do that. The Shudras, that means the labor class people, they were doing so many dirty things, nonsense things. Now there are so many bacteria, so many viruses, so many germs in that kind of environment. So if someone touches that person, now see, we have that practical experience, right? Lockdown happened because of this virus. There's a scientific evidence, right? Nobody would tell any government that why are you discriminating now? You're being unequal. This kind of discrimination is not good. Nobody would dare to do that. This is scientific evidence, right? So if anybody is infected, and if that person is touched by other person, that the other person also will get infection. So deities were regarded, like a personal form of the Lord, the supreme person. So to go in front of that supreme person, the person has to be pure. In the material world also, if somebody has to go in front of a king, that person has to be qualified. Now, Krishna is God of gods, King of kings. So ऐसे व्यक्ति के सामने जाने के लिए हमें शुद्ध होना चाहिए. तो इसीलिए यदि किसी को छू लिया और वो व्यक्ति शुद्ध नहीं है, तो इसलिए वो जो पुजारी है वो जाके स्नान कर लेता. तो इसमें क्या बुरी बात है? इसमें क्या भेदभाव की बात है? So people who did not understand, or rather they did not want to understand, they just wanted some excuse to find faults in the Vedic culture. Oh, there is discrimination, inequality. No. The equality what we have seen in the Vedic culture, we cannot see in the modern life, modern society. Correct? So coming back to this kind of discussion, in our Vedic culture, Draupadi is talking to Bhishma Dev, her grandfather-in-law, in front of so many sages. Nobody had any objection. And she also was not feeling embarrassed to discuss very freely with him. That kind of relationship they had. Right? All this, this Pratha of Parda and all that, it was introduced by the Mughals, the Muslims. Right? So I would stop here if anybody wants to ask. The point I want to make, before we conclude, when we talk about the different leelas, different pastimes from Bhagavatam of Krishna and other personalities, like Bhishma Dev also is one of the Mahabhagavats. There are 12 Mahajans. I will touch on this topic. I don't know if anybody knows about the names of the 12 Mahajans. Bhishma Dev is one of them.
Yes.
Bhishma Dev, Lord Shiva, Narada Muni,
Brahma,
Brahma.
Shambhu,
Yes.
Janaka, Prahlad,
Prahlad, yes.
Shiva,
Yes.
the 4 Kumaras.
Very good.
4 Kumaras, Lord Shiva.
Shukdev Goswami also. is one of the Mahajans.
Yes, 12 Mahajans.
So Bhishma Dev is one of the 12 Mahajans. This is also one of the reasons. Mahajan means what? What is the meaning of Mahajan?
The one who knows the Lord in full.
Yeah, I'm just not talking about, the definition of Mahajan, the word Mahajan. What does it mean by the word Mahajan? There are two words, Maha and Jan.
Great
Maha means great,
person.
right?
Great person.
Yes, great person. Yes, great personality. Jan. Jan may say, Janardhan, Janata, right? So protector of the living beings is called Janardhan, or who is worshipped. जो जन द्वारा आराध्य है, that is Janardhan. जिसकी आराधना की जाती है लोगों द्वारा, that is Janardhan, Krishna. जनक, जो जन लोगों का पालन करता है, पालक है, वो जनक. So Jan means the living being, the person, and Maha means the great person. Great. Maha means great and Jan means person. So great person. So there are 12 Mahajans mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and Bhishma Dev is one of them. So the point I want to make, when we talk about these personalities, their leelas, their pastimes, we need to also focus on what do we learn from their activities. Glorification means that, we need to understand, we need to learn what kind of lessons they are teaching us. So from Bhishma Dev, this incident, the conversation between Bhishma Dev and Draupadi, very short conversation. We understand, we learn that, we need to be very careful where we eat. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to cut ourselves off from our social society like that. No. Again, our Vedic culture is very broad, very inclusive, not exclusive. So if we are living in the society, if we have to go out with friends and relatives to go out and eat, no problem. Even if we are eating outside also, no problem. If we can avoid, that's much better. But even if we have to do it as a social obligation, no problem with that. Just before honoring the food, before eating the food, just pray to Krishna. Please remove all the sinful actions, reactions in this food, which this food contains, and please free this food from that. And this is the reason we offer bhoga to the deities at home. Seeking blessings of Krishna and asking him, requesting him to remove all the effect of the sinful actions which are included in that food. And that food becomes purified. And because it becomes purified, before the offering, it is called bhoga. And after the offering, it becomes prasad. Right? So if we eat bhoga,
always very tasty.
Yes, very tasty. Yes.
Very tasty.
If the same kind of recipe, same formula you use and cook and eat without offering to the Lord, it will not taste the same. But after offering, the taste changes. Many people have experienced that, right?
Yeah.
And this is the evidence in Kali Yuga that Krishna is tasting. When Krishna tastes the food, Krishna's saliva is added to that food, then the prasad tastes wonderfully. So Bhagavatam also, originally it was spoken by Vyasadeva to Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is a parrot, right? So it is said that parrot, when it eats any fruit, that fruit becomes tastier, sweeter. And parrot, normally when he speaks also, when he chirps also, it's very sweet. And do you know what is the best thing parrot likes to eat?
Chili? Chili? Red chili?
Sorry, chili. Yes. Parrots eat chilies, right? So even though they eat chilies, but still their voice is so sweet. Isn't it?
Yes.
Right? Do you agree with that or not?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Right, Guruji.
So this is the quality of parrots. So Shukadeva Goswami, he was a parrot in the spiritual world. Radharani's favorite parrot. And he came as a Shukadeva Goswami. Shuka means parrot. So then he recited, he glorified Krishna he read the whole Bhagavatam, narrated the whole Bhagavatam in the assembly of the sages and in front of Parikshit Maharaj, for the benefit of Parikshit Maharaj. So it is said that after Shukdev Goswami recited the whole Bhagavatam, it became sweeter. And from that, Suta Goswami heard, and then he gave that whole knowledge. He recited the whole Bhagavatam in front of the 88,000 sages gathered together at the Niyamasharanya. So again, my humble request to all of you, please start reading. If you have not started reading from Bhagavatam yet, please start reading. Don't wait for any Muhurat. For these kind of things, there is no need to wait for Muhurat. Whenever there is Ichcha, just start it. Because in the material world, to have that desire to read from any scripture, that also is so difficult, right? So when the desire comes, start reading it. Even if you do Sankalpa, now see here, another thing I want to share with you. Now, so many of you are there, you're hearing. In your mind, if you do Sankalpa, even though you may start reading tomorrow, if it is too late for you tonight, Krishna will start giving you credit the time you make Sankalpa in your mind. It is not from the time when actually you pick up the Bhagavatam or you open up any kind of website and read from Bhagavatam. No. From the time you do the Sankalpa in your mind, your account starts from there. The meter is down from there. So this is the way Krishna reciprocates. Right? So before we conclude, any question or any comments?
Anyone, you can unmute and
Yes. If you do not have any question, then I ask a question.
please ask.
Why did Bhishma Dev, I already mentioned, if you were attentive, Bhishma Dev said that he was holding his life within his body. He was not leaving. Why was he holding his life?
This I know. This I can answer.
Sorry?
Yeah, this I can answer. He was waiting
Please.
for Uttarayan.
Yes.
उत्तरायण में जब सन आता है तो
Northern Hemisphere.
yes.
Yes. That's correct.
So,
Another reason.
did he
Yes.
wait for that?
Sorry?
Why did he want sun to go to Northern Hemisphere for him
Yes.
to go to?
Because when sun travels 6 months in Northern Hemisphere and for 6 months in the Southern Hemisphere. So when he goes to the Northern Hemisphere, the day of the demigod start. देवताओं का दिन आरंभ होता है तभी. So that 6 months period is considered as auspicious from January to June, when the sun planet is in the Northern Hemisphere. Our 1 year on the Earth planet is equivalent to 1 day of the demigods in the heavenly planets. So when the sun is in the Northern Hemisphere, so 6 months, it is the 12 hours daytime for the demigods, for devatas. And when sun goes in the Southern Hemisphere, so 6 months, when we get the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, so that 6 month period, this 12 hours period, half day for the demigods. And that's the evening time for demigods. So Bhishma Dev did not want to leave his body when it was the evening time for the demigods. Another reason is Bhishma Dev was waiting for Krishna to go to him. Now see, this is the potency of Bhishma Dev's devotion towards Krishna, because Bhishma Dev also was a great devotee, right? So Krishna felt obliged to go to him because Bhishma Dev was not able to walk. So this is the way Krishna reciprocates. When the devotees, their body gives up, or due to any reason, they cannot walk to Krishna, they cannot go to the temple. Prabhupada also used to say, at the time of death, if any devotee who has done a little bit of devotion also sincerely towards Krishna, Krishna will always remember that. And Krishna will feel indebted to that devotee, obliged to that devotee. So Krishna will repay that devotee when the devotee's body becomes useless, helpless. devotee cannot go to the temple. Even sometimes through the tongue also in old age, people cannot chant, people cannot speak. So Krishna goes to that person, and Krishna, on behalf of the devotee, that sincere devotee, Krishna chants. And Krishna brings other devotees who stand in front of that person who is about to leave the body, and those devotees surround that person, his bed, and start chanting. So Krishna felt obliged towards Bhishma Dev, and because Bhishma Dev was not capable of walking to Krishna, Krishna went to him. See, this is Krishna.
Wonderful.
Does it make sense?
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Here I want to share with you, that I think I shared this incident before. It is said, when Putana went to kill Krishna, she smeared poison around her breast. So in the pretext of breastfeeding Krishna, she wanted to poison Krishna and kill him. And Krishna killed her. But Krishna gave the position to Putana, same position, same status like Mother Yashoda. Because he said Mother Yashoda also breastfed him, and Putana also did the same. So Krishna focused on the service, not the intention behind the service. That doesn't mean we should copy Putana. We should not do that. But we need to learn how compassionate, how merciful Krishna is. So this is the shloka when Vyasadeva chanted, when Shukadeva Goswami, I shared this with you, when Shukadeva Goswami, when he was 16, for 16 years, he stayed inside the womb of his mother. He did not want to come out to the material world. And when Vyasadeva assured him that he will not be affected, when Lord Brahma assured him that he will not be affected by the three modes of material nature, then Shukadeva Goswami came out. And after coming out from the womb of his mother, he immediately ran to the forest. And Vyasadeva was going after him, following him, behind him. So when Vyasadeva chanted this shloka about Putana, that Krishna gave the same position of Mother Yashoda to Putana, then Shukadeva Goswami heard, said, what kind of person is that? How can anybody be so merciful that the person who went to kill him and giving that liberation position seemed like his mother? I want to know about that person more. Then Shukadeva Goswami became more interested to learn about Krishna's pastime. Then he came and he told Vyasadeva, please tell me more about this person who is so merciful, so compassionate. Then Vyasadeva recited the whole Bhagavatam to Shukadeva Goswami. So then when we talk about Krishna's mercy, Krishna's compassion, there is no limit to it. No limit to it.
And it became
Right?
a reason for him to live.
Sorry?
It became a reason for him to live.
To live means about Shukadeva Goswami you're talking about?
Like he didn't want to come out of the womb, no? He didn't
Yes,
want to come out of the womb of his mother.
Yes.
It became the reason actually that he wanted to live. Because he wanted to know more about Krishna. So he returned
No,
back.
that became the reason after he heard the shloka from Vyasadeva, after he came out from the womb.
Okay.
After he came out from the womb, he was running to the forest. He did not want to stay in the ashram of his father, Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva wanted Shukadeva Goswami to stay back in the ashram. So when Vyasadeva recited this shloka from the Bhagavatam and Shukadeva Goswami heard that, then he became more interested to know about Krishna, more about Krishna. Then Vyasadeva taught him the Bhagavatam in the ashram. Yeah. Any last question before we conclude today's session? Or any comment? Any realization from our today's discussion?
Any realization. It's wonderful to know.
Anything you would like to share, Shakuntala ji? Any one point
One
for the
thing,
benefit of all of us?
The difference between, you said, Ajar, Amar, the thing is very clear. Ajar means someone said rightly ki aging nahi hoti unki.
Correct.
Absolutely correct.
Ah.
Amar we all know. So this is something new I have heard today. And काफी सारे हैं। और हाँ, अश्वत्थामा कृतवर्मा कृपाचार्य, तो लिटरली अश्वत्थामा की लाइफ इज नॉट सो, मतलब वो जी रहे हैं लेकिन दर्द में जी रहे हैं। तो ये गलत नहीं करो, मतलब ज्यादा लाइफ होना भी कोई अच्छी बात नहीं है, बल्कि बेटर लाइफ होना इज अ गुड थिंग। लाइक अभिमन्यु अमर है, वो दैट्स अ वंडरफुल थिंग टू नो।
Yes, yes, yes.
गुड।
Yeah.
Ashwatthama also. Yes, Yachana ji, you want to say something?
Yeah. So it's kind of a concern, like, so sometimes what happens with us, maybe with every one of us, sometimes because of responsibilities or maybe some other engagements in our life, a few days, the mind is distracted, away from the, that, I won't say spirituality, but yes, that thing we do, that a feeling of intensity towards Krishna and Radha for some days, and then that guilt is also there कि हम ऐसा क्या है, मतलब इसमें क्यों engaged हैं हमें, तो मतलब यही लगता है कि दूर क्यों हो रहे हैं, दूर नहीं हो रहे हैं लेकिन दूर हो रहे हैं actually. So that guilt is sometimes very, not so good. So I think Krishna understands that also.
Of course, because Krishna is Paramatma, is sitting in our heart. He understands each and everything. We cannot hide anything from him.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that guilt feeling also, Krishna will understand. If we are helpless, कोई हमारी विवशता ऐसी है जिसके कारण हम जो करना चाहते हैं कर नहीं पाते हैं, भक्ति कर नहीं पाते हैं, सो कृष्ण समझता है सब कुछ, उसको समझने में देर नहीं लगती है, वो हमारे हृदय में बैठा है परमात्मा के रूप में. So he understands, he sees everything, he is a witness to everything. So we cannot make him understand, and at the same time we cannot cheat him also.
Yes, yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
He's not kind of dependent on our explanation to understand.
Yeah.
Right?
So I just needed this assurance from you. Coming from you, it's more, more relieving and assuring. Yeah. क्योंकि मन में तो है ही, वो हमेशा ही है, और मालूम भी है कि ये हो भी रहा है तो भी उनकी वजह से, नहीं हो रहा तो भी उनकी वजह से. But yes, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now to add to this, I have heard this thing and this is very wonderful, that mind to God and hand to work. आप हाथ से, ऐसा नहीं है, पूरे दिन में हम बहुत बार ऐसे काम भी करते हैं जिसमें हमारा माइंड लगाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. लेट अस से यू आर वॉशिंग योर यूटेंसिल, तो उस समय तो जरूर से आप भगवान का नाम लो, काम होता है क्या, और नाम भगवान का है. तो इट डजंट मीन कि आप सेपरेटली एक टाइम निकालो, बैठो और तभी आप करो. हम सब बिजी लाइफ जी रहे हैं, बट एटलीस्ट जब आप बर्तन मांज रहे हो तभी याद कर.
बिल्कुल.
Yes. A very good point, Shakuntala ji, you raised. See, in Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna tells Arjuna, that at the time of death, what the person is thinking about, जिस पर उसका ध्यान केंद्रित है, उस प्रकार की उसको योनि मिलेगी. He will get that kind of form of the body. He did not tell Arjuna that what kind of work the person is doing.
Attachment जहाँ पर है.
Attachment at mental level. Physically, what he's doing, it is secondary. Primary thing is that what kind of consciousness the person is having.
Right.
That's why, Prabhupada also gave this name to the Hare Krishna movement as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Right? So we need to be, what Shakuntala ji said, it is very nice. But now there should not become an excuse that, we are engaging physically in other activities and we are thinking of Krishna. As much as possible, we say that 3 प्रकार से हमें भगवान की सेवा करनी, मानसा, वाचसा, कर्मसा. So at the mental level, at the oral level, what we speak also, it should be relating to Krishna, and also the activities what we are doing, it should be serving the Krishna. So if we are able to do proper devotional service from all 3 levels, that's the best. But as Shakuntala ji said, due to some kind of reasons, we are living in the material world, we have so many things to take care of and all that. At least at the mental level, we can do it. Physically, we may be engaged in so many different things, but at a mental level, we can think of Krishna. Consciousness is more important than other things. Right? So thank you for sharing that, Shakuntalaji.
Welcome.
So another very beautiful thing that you told us today, a very profound thing I would like it's like a takeaway for me from today's session. It's like, no matter how knowledgeable you are or creative you are, it has to be, backed up with good grain, which is earned with good karmas. So we have to be very wiseful of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Very beautiful thing that you told. And what governs us is the grain.
Yes.
How successful you are or you are not.
Yes.
The one that regulates it basically.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so हम अभी विराम देंगे. I cannot say that I'm stopping it. I'm just pausing today's session. It will continue after 2 weeks, and within that 2 weeks period, please read from Bhagavatam. And while reading, if you want to share your realization or you want to ask some questions, if you're not able to understand completely or some kind of confusion is there, please bring those points up when we meet again after 2 weeks.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna for this wonderful session. मजा आ रहा है पढ़ने में और literally I'm enjoying it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.